Hey guys, this is Zephyr, as you may know. Thanks for being on my channel. I decided to make this video impromptu. As you can see, I'm still in the office. I usually head out to Starbucks after work to get working on my own creativity and content creation and music and things like that. But I thought I'd just make this one quickly from the office while I was still here. This one is about what happened between Chris Rock and Will Smith at the Oscars. My boss actually alerted me to it. Before he left, he was on a meeting, and we're an agency, and more videos about the marketing agency coming up later on about how to live, how to work in one, and so on, and what the work is like. But he was on a call with one of his friends, and we're a tight-knit agency, and it was after work, and he said, you know what's the biggest thing on the internet right now? And he said it was this Will Smith thing, and I was like, okay. I usually wouldn't have cared about celebrity gossip, but Will Smith is someone who lives his life from his heart. We all live our lives from our heart, but he's resonated with me for many reasons, because we have a sort of similar path from doing acting to music in our lifetimes and expressing ourselves that way, and so on and so forth. And maybe having a bit of a chip on the shoulder as far as the entertainment industry is concerned. So I resonate with him for many reasons, and so I thought I'd check this out. So I went online, and after I watched that clip from the Guardian News on YouTube. So here are my thoughts. I was scrolling through all the comments, and I usually don't make videos like this. You can scroll through my YouTube channel. There's no like reaction videos, or I'm just not that kind of person. But I think this topic needs to be spoken about, and it's in line with my life coaching or brand of authentic life success, like I like to call it. And so I thought I'd make a video on it. A lot of the people keep saying like, wow, my respect for Will Smith dropped, and my respect for Chris Rock went up. And I think frankly that's really skewed. You're not looking at the full picture if that's your reaction. And here's why. So let me break it down. So Chris Rock is a comedian. I love comedy. I watch comedy in my free time every day, after work and to wind down before bed. And sure, I didn't know what the joke was about actually to begin with. And then I read online that Jada had alopecia or hair loss or something. I'm having hair loss, but I'm a guy. And I was just telling the guys in the office before they left that I think if he had made that joke about a man, like for example, if you look at me or any other balding man or Dwayne Johnson or whatever, and said like, hey, I'd really like to watch that movie, you know, of you as G.I. Joe or a soldier, the guy might have been like, cool, thanks. Like, there's no joke there. But I think, and I've been realizing this more and more as a married man, that women pride themselves on their beauty and their attractiveness. And I think, well, that really is a primal nature of human beings. We sort of try to attract mates, right? That's one of the purposes of our life. I'm not saying that's the main purpose. Those of you who are spiritually awakened, and even Sadhguru says it, that you know, sex is not the main thing in life, which is true, but our bodies have those functions, and since it's tied into our body and hence our being, that is one of the main functions of your body. There are many main functions, but that's one of them. And that's creation, that's reproduction, that's life. And well, people would like to attract mates because you don't just get fertilized on your own. So you attract mates. So based on that, I think women, and I think even men actually, take their appearance quite seriously and their beauty and attractiveness quite seriously. Who doesn't, right? But I guess as men, we've just gotten a little bit more used to losing hair. At first I wasn't, but then I was. Because when I was young, I had a lot of hair and used to spike it up and all that. So my point is that when he made fun of her like that, Will was laughing because, to be honest, my reaction was the same as Will's. It was not a huge laugh, but it was not a small laugh either. It was like, can't wait to see you in GH, like, ha ha ha, like, you know, you've got your head shaved. But honestly, that doesn't sound like a joke at all. It sounds like a compliment, unless you know the backstory. And I don't know the backstory, but this is what I heard online, which is that she was suffering hair loss, so maybe that's why she found that joke. When you see her reaction, she's like, you know, she's upset. I still don't know what's the exact reason she's upset. I'm not Jada. I don't claim to know, but from what's being said online, that's the reason she was upset. And if that was the reason she was indeed upset, then you can see that, and the reason for her being upset is what I said, which is women take their beauty seriously, maybe. And if she thinks, of course, there's a lot of ifs and buts here. If she thinks that, hey, if I'm losing hair, I'm not so attractive, or whatever she might be thinking, I'm just assuming here, then if those are the reasons, like what they've said online, then yes, that could be a very offensive joke, because you're messing with someone's self-worth. You're messing with their sense of self, in a sense, and their outlook, or at least how they view themselves, their self-worth. So that is a very touchy subject. I actually got into it with my boss and one of his partners a few days ago, when we were discussing that, when I was telling them that mental health is not something to be joked around with, and that's one of the topics I'd like to put into the culture piece that I'd like to build for this company. In fact, in where I work at right now, you can check that out on my LinkedIn. And so one of my roles, I'm ambitious to have that as one of my roles, which is to work in the people department and take care of the people in the culture. So it's the same way. So when she reacted that way, it's kind of obvious that, hey, she was upset by that. And you know, so I honestly don't know what Will was laughing about at the start. Maybe he was in on this joke as well. Well, it's his wife, so he would know. I wouldn't. And if I think about that in a family sense, like if I'm at home and my brother goes like, hey, you lost all your hair and now you're gonna play like that bald guy in a movie, my family might laugh at it as a joke. And sometimes if it's not funny, meaning if I'm over that phase of insecurity, then really it's not that funny anymore. So I'm thinking, and I'm breaking this down a bit, it can only be funny at somebody's expense. So when that person you know is going to get a bit hurt about it. So Chris Rock probably knew she was going to get a bit hurt about it for whatever reason and whatever context is at the background, whatever their relationship is. And so when she reacted that way, Chris, I know he was up on stage, and I'm not saying I might have done anything different after that, the reaction, because when you're embarrassed, you know, the worst of you can come out. So he was probably already embarrassed that she was hurt by it, and instead of apologizing, which then would have meant that he's a less good host, I guess, because you know, you don't really apologize for what you say on stage because you're paid to be the smart ass, you know, as the host that's cracking jokes. So he didn't apologize, and he went, that was a good one. That's what he said, if I quote exactly from whatever I've seen on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. He said that was a good one. He's going further and further down the slope there, because not only have you just insulted someone, they've let you know that they're insulted. Instead of apologizing, you're saying that's a good joke. To me, that sounds like he's already embarrassed, and he's already like, oh fuck, what do I say now? And oh, that was a good joke. Like, you know, he's trying to defend his position, and that's fine. That can happen when you're insecure and embarrassed. I would probably do the same or something worse. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm really polished when I'm embarrassed, but because that happened, that might have pissed Will off, or even Jada off further. I would have been a little bit angry if I was either of them. Like, hey, we just let you know that we're hurt, and now instead of apologizing, you're defending yourself. Well, here, defend this, right? So, you know, it's, and as a married man or a father, or even when I was just a son and not married, if somebody made fun of my parents, I have actually done a rugby tackle in a library when I was back in secondary school in RI. This is one of the best schools in Singapore. I did like rugby tackle a guy twice my size straight into a bookshelf, which was stupid because he got hurt, but my head got hurt, because when you rugby tackle, you sort of grip the legs and you go up, you lift the person off the floor. And so he was like this, and I was like this way, and my head went past him, and we both banged into the bookshelf, including my head. So that was stupid. But it was what I was feeling, because he was making fun of my brother at that point, for something which I now can't remember. And that kind of reaction is not unwarranted. So when people on the internet are like, on YouTube, almost every comment is like, well done, Chris. Well done, Chris, taking it like a man. That's nice that he still stood there and held his ground and didn't get so embarrassed. He stuttered for a bit, uh, and I guess all our sympathies go out to him, of course. Why not? Because obviously Will Smith isn't the only human here. Everyone's human and everyone's deserving of love. So there's that. But there's also, you can't just disregard, just because somebody threw their hand, you can't immediately go, oh, throwing the hand is violence. Speaking verbally is just a joke, so it's on different levels. It's really not on different levels. And if you believe in spirituality and in human nature, it's action and reaction, right? And often energy exchanges are exact. So the amount of pain and embarrassment Chris got from that slap is probably the same amount of pain and embarrassment that Will and or Jada felt when they were being insulted. So, and just I corrected a few people on YouTube comments where they said like, oh, an act of violence versus a joke. I was like, hey, a joke about somebody's well-being and somebody's mental health and somebody's self-worth is violence. You've often heard that phrase where the truth against a mind that's not ready to receive it is an act of violence. Words are powerful. Words hold power, and in the spiritual sense, words are actually spell casting. You can literally lift someone's mood or drop it with your words. Words can start wars. Over here, words started a fight. So clearly, if we're thinking about it straight, words aren't that unimpactful. So you can't, you can, but then you would be inaccurate. You can't say that words aren't on the same level as violence. They sort of are. It's just us using different beings and bodies, and I'm talking spiritual here, to react. One is a physical body, one is a mental body, one is an emotional body, you have an energy body. There's so many ways of looking at this. So just saying that because Chris just made a joke, and Will actually threw his hand across, one is more violent than the other. I totally do not agree with that. I do not believe that. And if you're looking at this in the absolute sense, I encourage all of you to look at the full spectrum. And I would say congratulations to both of them, but I would also say to both of them that congratulations for learning lessons tonight, right? So first of all, Chris, congratulations for cracking jokes that made some people laugh in the audience. Not all humans are at the same spiritual level. So some people are going to laugh at things that other people find hurtful. That's just the way it is. So congrats for cracking the jokes. Congrats for taking it like a man. And congrats for accepting what happened. And Will, congrats for standing up for your wife and her emotions. And congrats for openly letting people know how you feel, despite what anyone might think. Living authentically is a big thing nowadays. And then the lessons I imagine they would be learning, I'm not them, but this is what I would learn if I was in either of their place. If I was Chris, I would probably be learning that I shouldn't joke around about other people's well-being, mental health, self-image, and things like that. And secondly, if I must for some reason joke about that, I wouldn't do it in front of the person's spouse or the both of them. Third, I wouldn't do it in public. And fourth, I wouldn't backtrack and go like, yeah, that was a good joke, when the people in question have clearly made it clear to me that it's not a good joke. If I was Will, I would have learned that I can possibly elevate myself to a point spiritually, where my healer always tells me this, where there's duality and then there's unity. So unity just means that we're all part of the same life force energy, the same source energy as souls. So even though there's a minor altercation between the two of them, or maybe even millions of people worldwide, whether you're looking at this under the disease that just spread through the planet, or Russia, Ukraine, or whatever it might be, World War II, however you want to look at this, masses being lied to by the elite, whatever you're looking at this as, eventually all conflicts are part of the same unity, because we're all one people, for lack of a more sophisticated term, and I don't like to use sophisticated terms. So we're all one people in energy, and that's what I would learn, that if he elevates there, he could, if he was at Zen-like reaction capabilities, he would probably sit back and go like, oh, you just made a joke about my wife. You're not very emotionally evolved, are you? And that's fine, that's your journey. And my wife right now is quite upset. And that's also fine in the greater scheme of things. That's her journey. And it's my journey, if I want to remain calm, to sit here, accept the pain, accept the feelings that I'm feeling right now, and move forward like a Zen monk, basically. Um, Personally, I have crossed into those stages before of Zen sort of state of being. I think many of us have, but it's not constant. Sometimes it disappears, sometimes it comes back. Um, I can't promise that if somebody made fun of my wife like that and she was upset, I wouldn't tear his face apart. But I also can't promise that I wouldn't just sit there and meditate and ask her nicely first if she was okay with it, or if she would like to speak to the man, woman, or whoever later and maybe sort it out. Any one of these options might happen, right? I'm not saying I'm predicting the future. These are all possibilities. So yeah, I just wanted to put this video out and let you guys know, like, hey, let's take a balanced view on humanity. Let's try to be more loving to each other. Let's not try to insult each other's wives. Let's not, or husbands, or other individuals. Let's try to not throw punches unless we have to. That said, everything happens in divine timing, and everything is a divine experience. Chris probably need to go through that for the lessons in his life. Will needed to go through that for the journey where he is currently. Jada, where the journey where she's at. Everyone who was in the audience, including me and you on YouTube or anywhere else. We're also learning from this. I'm learning from it. Maybe you're learning from it. We're all learning from it, and we're coming out as wiser people. And so I just wanted to float this out into the consciousness so that it's out there and it's not just people taking sides and things like that. I think in the end, we're all on the same side, which is sort of the side of humanity. And if you go beyond that, the side of all living creatures and things, and if you go even beyond that, then the whole side of creation and one life force and different planetary forces all coming together as one. So thank you so much, and have a great day ahead. Goodbye.